The night was heavy with darkness as I embarked on a solitary drive down an eerily desolate highway. The only companions I had were the monotonous hum of the engine and the feeble glow of my headlights cutting through the inky void. My destination was a remote cabin nestled deep in the woods, where I hoped to find solace from the stress of everyday life. As the road stretched endlessly before me, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled in my chest. It was as though a subtle presence was lurking just beyond the reach of my senses. The rhythmic pounding of rain against the windshield added to my discomfort, obscuring my vision and making the journey all the more unsettling. My radio crackled to life, a burst of static followed by a haunting melody that seemed to materialize from nowhere. The tune was hauntingly beautiful, yet inexplicably mournful, sending shivers down my spine. I tried to turn off the radio, but the dial wouldn't budge, and the music continued to play, filling the car with an eerie ambiance. I drove on, my knuckles white as they gripped the steering wheel. The road seemed to twist and turn in unnatural ways, leading me deeper into the heart of darkness. Shadows danced at the edge of my headlight's reach, shapes that seemed to flicker and vanish when I tried to focus on them. And then, I saw it. An old, decrepit motel seemingly materialized from the night itself. Its neon sign flickered weakly, spelling out the Midnight Inn. It was a place that shouldn't exist on this desolate stretch of highway, and I had no memory of ever passing it before. Curiosity mingled with dread as I pulled into the motel's parking lot. The rain had intensified, falling in heavy sheets that made the world outside blur and distort. I approached the front desk, where an elderly man with milky white eyes and a smile that never reached them greeted me. "Room for the night?" he asked, his voice a raspy whisper. I nodded, my unease growing with every passing second. He handed me a key without a word and gestured toward the corridor that led to the rooms. The hallway was dimly lit, and the wallpaper peeled in places, revealing the decay beneath. My footsteps echoed ominously as I made my way to the room at the end of the hall, room 13. Inside, the room was freezing, and the air was thick with an unsettling energy. The walls seemed to pulse with a strange, otherworldly light that cast dancing shadows across the ceiling. As I lay on the creaky bed, the haunting melody from the radio seemed to seep through the walls, growing louder and more insistent. Panic set in as I realized I couldn't leave. The door refused to open, and the windows were sealed shut. In the dim room, I saw glimpses of apparitions, shadowy figures that moved at the edge of my vision. They whispered in voices that were both seductive and sinister, beckoning me to join them in the darkness. I closed my eyes and prayed for morning, vowing never to venture out on a night drive again. But the haunting melody played on, a chilling reminder that the night held secrets and terrors beyond my wildest imagination. I lay there in that chilling room, the haunting melody from the radio growing louder and more maddening with each passing moment. The whispers of the shadowy figures intensified, their words becoming clearer but no less cryptic. "Join us in the endless night," they murmured. "Embrace the darkness that surrounds you." Fear gripped me, but I was paralyzed, unable to escape the malevolent force that had ensnared me in this sinister motel. I reached for my phone, desperate to call for help, but it was gone, as if it had never existed. As the minutes turned into hours, time seemed to lose all meaning. The walls pulsed with an unnatural rhythm, and the room's temperature plummeted further, my breath forming icy plumes in the frigid air. Desperation welled up inside me, and I pounded on the door, screaming for someone, anyone, to release me from this nightmare. The elderly innkeeper appeared at my door, his milky eyes gleaming with an unsettling malevolence. He simply shook his head and whispered, There is no escape from the Midnight Inn. You are one of us now." With those words, he vanished into thin air, leaving me alone with the relentless torment of the spectral figures and the haunting melody that filled every corner of the room. I knew then that I had stumbled into a place that existed beyond the realms of the living, a place where the boundaries between this world and the next had blurred. In a final desperate act of defiance, I flung open the window, intending to jump from the room and risk the fall to freedom. But as I gazed outside, I realized that the rain, which had been falling relentlessly, had turned to a torrential downpour of blood-red raindrops. The sight sent shockwaves of terror through me, and I recoiled, retreating from the grotesque scene beyond. The room's walls seemed to close in, and the spectral figures grew more insistent, their whispers a cacophony in my mind. I felt my sanity slipping away as I succumbed to the relentless onslaught of the supernatural forces that surrounded me. As the first light of dawn broke, the haunting melody began to fade, and the spectral figures dissipated into the morning mist. The room's icy grip loosened, and I stumbled out, drenched in sweat and shaken to my core. The motel, the Midnight Inn, had vanished into the ether, leaving no trace of its existence. I stumbled back to my car, my mind a whirlwind of fear and disbelief. The road ahead stretched on, seemingly normal, as if the night's horrors had never occurred. To this day, I cannot explain what transpired in that room or on that desolate highway. I have never been able to find the Midnight Inn again, no matter how hard I've tried. But I carry with me the chilling memory of that night, drive into darkness. A haunting reminder that there are places in this world where the boundaries between the living and the dead are blurred, and the horrors that lurk within defy all rational explanation.